This Thrive Loud episode is brought to you by Hinge Consulting. Success on Amazon hinges on well-executed strategies. Contact Hinge Consulting to learn about total Amazon channel management and to see if your business has what it takes to grow over 300% over the next 12 months. That's Hinge Consulting at hingeconsulting.co.
Today on Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Because when we do less better, we actually achieve more. And I've been really focused on how I'm showing up, who I need to become to get to my next level of success, which I know isn't about doing more things.
It's time to take an inside look at those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. Today on Thrive Loud, we bring you, north of the border, up in Canada, a truth-telling powerhouse who helps high-achieving entrepreneurs really own their personal power, establish value-based boundaries, and enjoy full frontal living through mind, body, and spiritual alignment. She's the author of Let's Eat, which is actually an acronym, and we're going to tap into that. She is a rock star in her own right, a speaker, a coach, an educator who loves empowering us to stay present to what we're feeling and how we're showing up in all areas of life. Thrive Loud listeners, a perfect guest for this show, Lisa Carpenter. Lisa, how are you today?
I am so great. Thank you so much for having me on. This is going to be such a blast. I've enjoyed listening to your episodes with your other guests, and I'm just so honored to be here with you.
Well, we are honored to have you on the show, and I love hitting different topics, and I was deciding, how did I want to start this conversation? And I'm just going to go right out at where we want to hear. The Thrive Loud listeners heard in the opening full frontal living. If you could give us a little bit, Lisa, a background of where you came from and where that all leads to, because this is a cool concept. And I think maybe your journey on how you got there is even equally as cool. So I'm going to give you the baton and let you run with it. How does that sound?
That sounds fantastic. And I will try and take a very long story and put it into a bit of a nutshell for your listeners. But, you know, I started my career many, many years ago, dating myself, as a personal fitness coach. And as, you know, my life unfolded, my career unfolded differently. I started to move into nutrition. I started to create different programs. And lo and behold, I had a really life-changing incident with my husband. I found out that he was an active addict. And this really, my life kind of took a hard turn to the left because it was happening right under my nose and I wasn't aware that it was happening. I was a successful coach. I was running successful businesses, yet here my life had felt like it had kind of spiraled out of control in a moment. And I was really faced with, I looked at it as an opportunity. I could either be a victim or I could find out and understand the role that I was playing in the relationship and why this had come into my life, right? Because I'm a driven, ambitious overachiever. So I'm always looking for the answers, right? And it was really amazing what transpired from there because I learned a lot about addiction. A lot of stuff that I didn't want to learn, a lot of stuff that I really needed to learn. And it really transformed not just my relationship with my husband, but more importantly, the relationship I was having with myself. I didn't realize that I was using so many different behaviors in my life to mask what I was feeling, from perfectionism to control to people pleasing to taking care of all the things, juggling all the balls, and looking like a rock star while I was doing it. So this is kind of what led me to this whole premise of full frontal living. it's about no longer numbing out, whether it's with drugs or alcohol or over exercise or overspending or having no boundaries or doing all the things for all the people, and really allowing ourselves to sink into what we're feeling, being present to it, and moving through the emotion in a different way. So instead of trying to avoid it, which is what most driven, ambitious people try to do, we just get busy and do more stuff, actually being present to what's holding us back from feeling real peace and joy and fulfillment in our lives. So that's kind of what full frontal living is about. I should also say that my hubby has been in recovery now for over 6.5 years, and we are actually thriving as a couple, which, you know, when I started that journey, it was kind of, I was told by one of the counselors that most relationships don't survive addiction. And I was like, well, I'll show you, right? That whole attitude of I'll show you was really what got the journey started. But like I said, it very quickly became less about I'll show you and how can I actually thrive in the relationship with myself. So
in having to, and thank you, by the way, for sharing that, because that's, you know, all these personal stories are tough, and how we learn where we get onto the track that we're on is good for our listeners and good for us to talk about and to learn about. You started to say that you personally were looking at life a little differently on how to fight through this and do this. Did you yourself have any issues or things that you personally had along those lines, or it was really just around the world that you were living around with your husband?
Like in terms of, was I struggling with addiction myself? Well, if you want to call being a workaholic, being an addict, it is kind of the same thing, right? So there's a lot of addictive behaviors that we don't necessarily look at as being as detrimental as, say, drugs or alcoholism, but they truly are. We try and step over them and normalize them. Yeah. But they're not. So those were a lot of the things that I was struggling with. I was a chronic doer, like doing all the things all the time, working round the clock. And like I said, the other behaviors like control, wanting to control all the balls, right? If I just do everything myself, then it'll get done the way I want it to get done. Perfectionism. That's another one people get so addicted to, right? Like if I could just get everything right, then everything will unfold perfectly, which is never the case. So we can be just as addicted to behaviors as substances. So I had an addiction to all my behaviors, and it's a lot of people talk about it around codependency is kind of the term that we use. So I was heavily codependent.
I got it.
Right.
I know, it's good. Let's Eat, which is one of my favorite activities during the day. Talk to us about Let's Eat, and that's E.A.T. So help explain this to the listeners.
So E.A.T was a signature program that I had been working on as I came out of my, personal training career and really wanted to move more into nutrition, because my clients came to me to transform their bodies, but I also knew that if they didn't actually transform the relationship that they were having with food, nothing really changed. There's a saying that you can't out-exercise a lousy diet. So E.A.T was really born out of my relationship with food when I was a competitive fitness. I did fitness and figure. I don't know if anybody understands what that is, but you basically wear really high shoes and walk out on stage wearing not a lot of clothes, with not a lot of body fat. Anyways, I really learned a lot about nutrition doing that. I learned the good and the bad and the ugly. And I wanted to take what I learned about really true transformation and put it into a way that the everyday person would be able to put together their food to understand. So E.A.T stands for Education, Action, Transformation. So E.A.T is basically a flexible framework that helps my clients understand how to work with food and how to put it all together so that they're in the driver's seat of what they're eating. So I don't give people a meal plan. I literally teach them how to build out their own nutrition. And this is why my journey through addiction was so fascinating to me, because as much as I had been putting the focus on the food, which it is important, you can't eat donuts all day long and think you're going to be able to lose weight. I learned that so much about our relationship with food has nothing to do with food. it's so deeply emotional. It's the stories and the beliefs and behaviors that we attach to food that we really struggle with. So that's where kind of the next layer of my work came in around this E.A.T framework is then we dove into, feelings and food. So it really was this whole, crap sandwich that ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me because it really gave me a perspective around food, nutrition, dieting, weight loss that a lot of people really don't understand.
Lisa, help me and the listeners understand a little bit more about the type of clients that you actually do help work with. Is it individuals or people in companies? How do you connect with your message in helping to get people to really understand full frontal living and the values that you talk about with E.A.T?
So my highest level clients are really those driven, ambitious, overachieving, high achieving entrepreneurs. And I work a lot one-to-one with people. I do have group programs as well, but I really love my one-to-one work. And these clients come to me because they are killing it in their lives. Like they're crushing their business life. They've got all these certificates. They've done amazing things, yet they kind of step back and they're struggling with their relationship with their body. So particularly in women will hold themselves back from really putting themselves out there and having the impact that they want to have if they're not feeling comfortable and confident in their skin. Mm-hmm. They'll avoid being in pictures. They'll avoid going up on stage. They'll avoid going to live events. So when I'm working with them, it really is focused on how can we move them past what's going on for them emotionally? How can we get them to understand that it's not about the food. So really diving into their past relationship with weight loss dieting, their relationship with their body, stories they picked up when they were young, maybe from their parents or from their friends. And we really just start to strip that down. And once we work through the emotional layers and I can get them to stop kind of numbing out with food is how I refer to it, then we're able to move into how can we put all the pieces of nutrition together so it really works for them. So they learn how to be supportive of themselves. It would be like trying to grow a business. And, some people go out to try and grow a business and they'll look for that cookie cutter solution and then wonder why they never actually achieve the success they want. The same is true when we try and follow meal plans. We're trying to do our way to having a healthy relationship with our body.
Yeah.
But we actually have to be in relationship with food in our body. We have to create a healthy relationship if we want to have long-term success.
Okay. So Lisa, I'm going to ask a good question here because this is something, to your point, we have a lot of people who are go-getters and rock stars and running businesses or companies or their careers, their lives and speakers and all the different people that have been guests on this show. And sometimes we literally say there's not enough hours in the day and the day just seems to fly by. I have dealt with a lot of people who literally forget to eat. And I want to ask you from in your role in the place that you've been in, you've probably heard this before, have had to deal with this. How do you incorporate those, that this isn't a matter of them eating too much? These are literally people that don't recognize or go on the other extreme. They completely just forget and they're like on low fuel and fumes by the end of the day. How do you work with people like that to get them to understand that it's still something we need to do to get through the day?
Exactly. The bottom line is you cannot be a top performer if you're not fueling the vehicle that you're performing in, right? It would be like jumping in your Ferrari and never putting gas in it. You get one body to live this life in, to grow your business, to go out there and be your, high achieving self. So getting to that place where you're not feeding yourself has to become a non-negotiable. What I help my clients do is to step into taking radical responsibility for how they're showing up for themselves. So typically high achievers, they know how to do all the things for other people. They know how to do the things in terms of creating achievement, but they put themselves on the back burner. Yeah. So when people come to me, they've realized that next level of success that they want, they can't actually achieve if they don't start taking care of themselves. Quite often they're burnt out and their adrenals are fried because they've been not eating, not sleeping. Like there's a whole host of habits. So when they come to me, they have to truly be committed to this needs to take a priority in my life. And that's when transformation happens. That's when we can start to lay down new habits because everybody is capable of creating new habits and behaviors. We just have to look at the beliefs that are driving the current set of behaviors. Meaning, if you're not feeding yourself all day, what I like to say is things that we love, we take care of. So if you're a parent, you would never say to your kid, oh, don't worry, just don't eat all day. You'll be good. You would never do that ever, right? Said no parent ever. We're practically running around the house trying to get them to eat stuff. But we do that to ourselves. So what message are we sending to our own self-worth when we're not willing to pause and actually give our body food, which is our fuel to do all the amazing things in life that we want to do?
Okay, so I want to jump into something that I love to say, and I've had some people who obviously from nutritionists and like yourself, food is essential to what we need. And there's always this little message that I think it was my grandmother or grandfather said to me, which is, everything in moderation. Okay. Which is pretty much a good, by the way, thing to live by. Don't do too much of anything. And I think that applies to your point. Obviously there's addictions can cause some problems, and a little bit of this is not so bad. A little bit of that is not so bad. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about this big cheesecake that's sitting over in my refrigerator. Can I go have it? Because it looks so freaking good, Lisa. No, I'm just saying when it comes to the bad things that you're looking to eat and that it's part of whatever it is, are you allowed, we want to eat healthy. We want to be right. We get all those things. We want the engine to be good. We want to put good stuff in, but we also want to enjoy things every now and then. All right. Does someone like you get to enjoy something every now and then?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
So let me just go back to something you said, because you said we know we shouldn't be eating those bad foods. Food is neither good nor bad. It's neutral. It's absolutely neutral. It's our judgments and beliefs that we put on it that make it good or bad. And the more we say something is bad for us, the more we want it. Whereas your food, everything you put into your body every single day, is a choice. And when my clients truly take responsibility for those choices, that's when everything changes for them, because they realize it's not about I shouldn't eat that. It's yes or no. Do I want that? Right. What do I want for myself? What is the outcome that I'm looking for? And will eating the entire cheesecake create the outcome I want? Maybe yes, maybe no. Depends, right?
So good. No,
I know, but I want people to enjoy food. Yeah. So if they make that choice, then eat it, enjoy it, and then move the heck on. Like, don't carry it around like baggage. 3 days later, you're still thinking about why you shouldn't have eaten the cheesecake. Like this is where we get ourselves into these corners that we can't get out of. And this is why so many are struggling with their relationship with food. If we just learn to choose and then move on, it's not a big deal, and food no longer holds us hostage.
Now, I know you're north of the border, and that came out very New York accent-wise, the way I said that, north of the border. No, I don't know. It's almost like a Boston accent I came out with. I know you're up in Canada, and here in the States, we have a lot of things similar. Globally, does the world have the similar types of food and diet problems? I mean, I know this is just something that always hits me. It always feels like this is just a North American problem. I don't, where literally the issues of how eating and guilt and shame and everything that happens with that seems like something that we create in our society. I don't know if it's global or not. I'm just asking because you're a little more familiar with it than I am.
I think it's a real problem in North America, primarily. Around the world, food is used to celebrate, and it's used for nourishment. In North America, we have such an abundance of everything. And of course, a lot of companies, most companies, they're in the business of making money. So the more they can feed us, right, the more money they'll make. We've also created this culture, when we have work meetings, although I'm not in corporate anymore. If you go to any corporate meeting, there's usually food in the room. Whereas at other places around the globe, that's you come to meet to do your work and then you leave. It isn't a smorgasbord while you're having a business meeting. So I think it is primarily a North American problem. Food, we've woven food into everything. Yeah,
it's like we're the marketing engine that just keeps on humming. I think you're right on that.
Unbelievable.
Okay. So someone like you who is a coach and a motivator and gets people back on the right track. I imagine there are days when Lisa Carpenter is not on her A game, although I have trouble seeing that. On those days when you are having trouble thriving, who or what do you turn to get back on the thriving track?
That is such a great question. Yeah, because I'm not perfect and I don't always have those days where I'm like, all right, let's do this. Although I do have more days like that than not. For me, a big thing is getting outside and exercise. Exercise is a non-negotiable for me. It happens to be something that I love to do. If you put something heavy in front of me, I will try to lift it. I think it's just because I'm small too. So I kind of like defying the odds of what I can move around. So anything that lifts my mood, so exercise, getting outside. And one of my favorite activities is getting in my car, opening up the sunroof and cranking whatever tunes are speaking to me for the day. So it could be something from Coldplay to, I can't believe I'm going to say this, Motley Crue. It could be anything in between or even country. I do all genres.
I think a couple of Thrive Loud listeners that know me, I love country music. I think country rocks. So
I love country. I love country.
It puts you in your happy place.
Really does.
So on off days, total veg days, you need to do something that you want to do that's just for Lisa. What is that little secret thing that Lisa does that gets her little, her little fun thing to do that nobody else knows about?
That nobody knows about? There's very few things in my life that people don't know about. I'm pretty much a wide open book. I love, though, any type of reality show, but it has to be like creative. So anything like Cake Wars or Skin Wars. They were like body painting artists where they take 5 people and turn them into a crab. That stuff just blows my mind. Tattoo artists. I love watching people create things, like these amazing cakes that people can make. Like I could barely frost a cake without getting crumbs in the icing. That is the kind of stuff that I love to disappear into.
I love that. So you have the book out now, and you're obviously in your practice. Give me, since you are a little bit of a go-getter, still have that in your DNA somewhere. Give us some of the goals and things that you're looking forward to for the rest of this year, or that you're moving forward to. And I know this, you're always in the moment, but tell me how you're going to take this moment to a bigger level.
My focus, and so I'm always going to be driven and ambitious, but it's been about turning down the volume on that for me personally and learning how to do less better.
Oh, I like that.
Right? So yeah, do less better, because when we do less better, we actually achieve more. And I've been really focused on how I'm showing up, who I need to become to get to my next level of success, which I know isn't about doing more things. It is about slowing down. It is about thriving more. It is about living in this place of joy and gratitude and fulfillment. Because for many years, I lived in this place of striving and trying to get there, right? And this real, I call it trying energy, right? Where you're trying to prove yourself all the time. So letting go of that. So within all of that, of course, I have business goals. I'll be launching my program again later on in the year, which is called Feelings and Food. And I've got my own personal goals in the gym around, deadlift PRs, just fun stuff for me, and just spending more time traveling and with my family. So I'm less about conquering the world now, and I'm more about how can I have a profound impact on the people that I'm working with, and how can I really be present in my own life. And that is the work. Yeah. The work is about how can we really be more human beings instead of human doings.
I love that. Lisa, give us all the plugs. Give us everywhere that we can learn about you, find the book, social media, links, and all that stuff. We will provide everything in the show notes, but when you provide it on the air, people tend to go there quicker.
Amazing. So you can find me over on my website. That's lisacarpenter.ca, because of course, Canadian, eh? And over on Facebook, Lisa Carpenter Inc., which is also my Twitter, or my Twitter handle is Real Food Ninja, which is kind of fun because Lisa Carpenter was already taken. And I'm over on Instagram as well. So I'm pretty easy to hunt down for anybody who's looking for me.
The Real Food Ninja. We've had a lot of ninjas on this show. I'm just starting to realize that. Yeah, I think so. We're going to have like a best of episode with all the ninjas and kind of put them in, give them, fighting
All the
stars
ninjas.
and all those things that they can go out in black gear with samurai swords. It'll be phenomenal. It'll be a really cool ninja activity. Okay.
Amazing.
So we're going to have two fun things here to go with. Lisa Carpenter, your all-time favorite movie, because I know you were stressing about this.
I wasn't stressing. I just have so many. So I was thinking about this, but not too hard. I love The King's Speech. Have you ever seen that movie?
Spectacular movie. Spectacular.
Right.
He's
movie.
I'm blanking on his name right now. But he won Best Actor for it. It'll hit me in a minute. Keep going with your thought.
And I'll never remember his name, but I remember watching that movie and crying because for so long in my life, I felt like I didn't have all the proper, certifications of things, all the stuff that I needed. Right. And to watch that movie, it was so profoundly moving to me that he just knew his stuff and he knew he could help. And that's what he did. I love that movie. And then the other one that I'm currently obsessing about, more about the soundtrack, is The Greatest Showman, which is really, really
so
recent.
That's on my to-do list. And my sisters had seen it recently and they told me, and they were literally singing the songs, like you said, all day long. I heard It was great. By the way, Colin Firth was the actor.
Colin Firth.
I will let the Thrive Out listeners know I cheated and looked it up while we were here. It did not come up.
Did you? You Googled it?
I did. Yeah, it was one of those things. So Lisa Carpenter, this is something that I've asked a lot of motivators and people that get inspired. Give the Thrive Loud listeners one piece of advice from all the stuff that you do that will really help them resonate, the key message that you have. I feel that sometimes ending the show on that period and an exclamation point or whatever final piece is always a great way to take us out of here. So one last word for the Thrive Loud community.
I think what I want to say is that you get one body to do this life, and whatever it is you're wanting to do in one body. And if it's at the bottom of your priority list, you need to check your priorities. How you treat your body will continue to show up for you if you show up for it. So stop treating yourself like an afterthought. Well
said. Lisa Carpenter, you rock. This is awesome. This was so much fun. And you did a kick-ass job on this show because I'm inspired. I'm a little bit hungry, but more notably, I can't. I'm going to.
But you got cheesecake.
I did. I'm looking at it. It's looking so good. On a serious note, thank you so much for coming on the show. This is a great message. We'll put all the show notes out there and continue to spread the word. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And to all the Thrive Loud listeners that are out there, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Thrive Loud. Or find us on the web at thriveloud.com.